Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Montoya. Alright, so today I have a quick and easy DIY for you. So I used about 2 yards of fabric to create this maxi skirt, and it has a modest side slit. So it only comes up to about my knee, and then for the waistband I went ahead and created a ruffle effect just using a zigzag stitch along the casing. So I'll be sure to show you how to do that in the video. Alright, and be sure to stay tuned to the end to part 2, because I'm actually doing one in a dashiki fabric and one using a crepe fabric, and I started off differently the way I create the panels for the skirt, but then part 2 is the same for both of the skirts because I sewed them both the same exact way. So be sure to stay tuned to the end of part 2 so you can see a final look, some video clips of me wearing both of the skirts. Alright, so I went ahead and laid out my fabric. So up top here, my fabric is on the fold. On this side, the selvage edges to the selvage edges are together. Also on this side, the selvage edge to the selvage edges together. And then down here at the bottom, I have the raw edges together with one another. And on the inside is the right side of my fabric. Now, because I'm using a polyester crepe, this fabric tends to shift and snag. Well, not really much snag, but it does tend to shift a little bit when I cut out my skirt panels. So what I'm going to do is take my sewing pins, and along the perimeter of the fabric I'm going to pin in place just to act as a reinforcement, because I don't want to spray my fabric with any starch to stiffen it. So as a substitute, I'm going to take my pins and begin pinning along the perimeter, making sure that my selvage edges are lined up with each other before I begin pinning. After I've completed one side, now I'm just smoothing out my fabric so that I can make sure that it's even, and then I'm going to begin pinning along the other side and then also along the folded edge as well. Next thing that we need to do is clean up this raw edge. We need to make it straight before we can have 2 even panels. So what I went ahead and did is I actually moved my pins, my reinforcement pins, in more because they were in my way as I was getting ready to true up this raw edge. In order to help me with this, I'm using my rotary mat, and I'm using the lines on the rotary mat. I'm taking a pin and sticking it through my fabric and using one of the lines on my rotary mat to make small dots across my fabric. And then after I make these small dots, I'm going to connect them all and then begin cutting this out to create a straight line. Next, go ahead and grab your measuring tape or your ruler, and we are going to measure from the top of our skirt down to our length. So for me, that was 45.5 inches. So from the top, I'm going to measure down 45.5 inches and make a mark. And I'm going to repeat this process across the entire skirt panels, measuring my length and then making a mark. Alright, and I'm going to shift these pins down here at the bottom. I'm going to shift them up closer to my new hemline. before I begin cutting out my fabric. And I'm also going to attach some above the line. Now, next, you can go ahead and cut along the line that you made for your length. Now, I should have connected all of my dots before cutting. I'm not sure why I didn't. I must have been tired this night and forgot. But connect these dots before you start cutting, and then go ahead and cut along your length line. Alright, now I'm going to remove the pins along the fold. And I'm going to begin cutting along the fold. And now I'm going to add some pins again, similar to how I did on the opposite side. We're going to now true up this raw edge. Now I'm going to draw a straight line down the side so that I can have two even panels. And then once I have a nice straight line, I'm going to take my scissors and cut this out. And then after you are done cutting this out, you should have two even panels. Alright, next we need to cut out a total of 4 pockets. So right now I have my fabric with folded, my remnant fabric folded with the right sides together, and it's 2 layers. So I'll be cutting out 2 pockets at a time. So go ahead and pin the pattern in place and then cut it out. And on your pocket there are 2 notches. You want to go ahead and clip those about 1/4 of an inch deep. Alright, you're going to pin this pocket pattern in place one more time, cut it out, and you'll have a total of 4 pocket pieces. Alright, and after you're done cutting out your pockets, you can go ahead and move on to part 2 of the tutorial where we will sew everything together.